Okay, welcome back to our lecture on process and concept for design and designers. So when we last left off, we were talking about type, and one of the points I wanted to make is that type is more than, type design is more than simply just designing a type or a typeface. It's usually designing a whole type system, and that can be very complicated depending on how much that system is designed to be used in lots of different applications. So like Helvetica Neue here, as you can see, it's very, very complicated. And this not even including italics and including other kind of complications. And so, yeah, I'm just going to move on. And another aspect we're going to talk about is branding systems. Branding systems are also an aspect of graphic design, and I will explain them. Branding systems are also a part of graphic design that is much like systems design. And probably for you guys, especially those of you who are graphic designers, your experience with branding systems is probably something similar to designing a business system. A business system in graphic design, for those who don't know in graphic design, a business system is where you design like a letterhead and envelopes and business cards and that kind of stuff for, and as well as a logo for a company. And many times branding systems are a little bit like that, but just expanded. That includes other products and packaging design. But that's not really what a branding system is. A branding system is fundamentally a much more complicated thing because it's not actually designing any a lot of look. It's more designing the rules. So here's a branding system for Cisco Systems, which is a company some of you may know. And in it, it's like I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think this is seven books. Each book is like probably about 200, 300 pages, and these are rule books as to how the company is supposed to follow how they look. So, and these are rule books for every different part of the company. Like if you're a sales manager and you're trying to, and you're doing this, and you're making a memo that's going to this. This is how it's supposed to look. This is how you're supposed to. This is where you're supposed to put your logo. This is where you're. This is the types of type you're allowed to use. These are the types of color you're allowed to use for body text. Right. All of that. And for every kind of situation, all the way down to what human resources, when you're, when you're sending a memo or a form for them to decide on which healthcare process, there is there's some part in this book system that's telling the business, this is what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to maintain brand, look like us, not look like just any random old business, but it needs to look like us, the brand, and how you do that. Right? It's an incredibly complicated thing, and it requires a whole amount of research. Developing a branding system starts with a ton of research in which the company that's doing this work, the graphic design company, they have to do a ton of market testing, and interviewing, but they also interview employees from the ground level all the way up to managers, all the way up to top CEOs. They have surveys, all to figure out, because part of what they want to figure out is, well, what is the brand right now, and how do the employees and how do the customers and how do the market, how do they already see the brand and how do they already use the brand, so they have to understand that first before they can redesign it. It's an incredibly complicated part of graphic design, but it is very much like systems art, because when you design this thing, you're not designing any of the actual design. You're designing the system that helps other people make those designs. Of course, you do design the logo. Um, Here's another one. This is the Android Business System, and here's an example of Mohawk packaging by Michael Beirut, who is an amazing graphic designer. And here is some systems, some branding systems, but also some other kind of campaign systems by Man versus Machine. This is their branding system for V7, which was or 47. 47 was the social media campaign for Channel 4, basically saying that this is a way that you can get information from Channel 4, 24/7. And one of the things I mentioned Man versus Machine before, but one of the things I like about their campaigns is how they begin all their campaigns with this very kind of open-ended, almost like installation art type open process way, and performance art way of kind of like approaching the idea, and then they use that as a way of generating imagery and generating ideas that then leads to actual concrete design ideas. So in this particular case, for the Four More campaign, which was also about all the things that you can get from Channel 4 beyond just what was on your screen, the Four More, like, so what the web-based presence of Channel 4 and everything. So the Four More campaign involved a lot of these flip books, and then they did this kind of like installation thing where they went all over Britain, but also even to Iceland and other places, odd locations, to make these kind of installations using these flip books. And then also they had mechanical devices that allowed the flip books to kind of like keep flipping and rotating. So another aspect of graphic design that is similar to concept art is graphic design is information display. And hold on a second.